Welcome back to 13C. Today we're actually out in Illinois. We're at Vulture Equipment Works, and I'm here with Will. Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and what we're going to be looking at here today?
Sure. Well, Vulture is a higher-end expedition outdoor accessory manufacturer. So we do a lot of different things from equipment and expedition straps all the way to the new lube that we're showing you in the cleaner. So of course we've got fixed blade knives. We've got a couple other things coming down the road that are a little bit more on the firearm side of the world. But pretty much we set up our business as an accessory manufacturer, so an outdoor accessory manufacturer. We don't make a lot of stuff. We only make what we like and what proves itself in the field, and it's guaranteed for life. It's all made in the United States, and from raw goods all the way up to finished product.
Nice. Well, very cool. All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at cleaner and lube. The lube is the liquid Freakiness.
Yeah, liquid Freakiness. It's a fully synthetic product, which is really kind of cool. Some months back, I started really noticing that my hands got chemically burned from the last products that we've been using in the shop. And a lot of times you don't have time to put on gloves and that, so you really kind of run fast. So when that kind of came about, I said, you know what, it's time for a change. We're going to do an extreme temperature, an extreme environment, lubrication and protectant, and we came up with liquid Freakiness. It's like I said, it's a fully synthetic. It's all U.S. based. It's -65, so it'll stay liquid all the way down to -65, and it doesn't start to smoke off until over 500 degrees. So it's got some really great attributes to it, and we designed it to be, firearm friendly, fishing reels. If you want to oil up the hinges on the doors, anything like that. Especially good for trailer hitches. We found that out on our way down to Blade Show. It doesn't come off very easy. It crawls. It's very thin. It's about the consistency of blood, but like I said, it's a fully synthetic product, so it's not a petroleum based with squeezings or anything like that. And it's a fun addition to the line.
Cool. Well, nice. And then the cleaner is also and I don't do a lot of videos with cleaning. I'm wearing some gloves here today. This is the kind of habit that I took on back when my wife was pregnant with our daughters. I would go out and do reloading or cleaning, and I didn't want all those heavy leads on my hands, so I started using latex and now nitrile gloves to keep that off. And as a byproduct of that is keep away from some of the cleaners. Now we've moved away from a lot of those, and a lot of you guys see on the channel that moved away from some of those more harsh chemicals. I still wear the gloves though, because all that lead and carbon buildup, I mean, for the volume of shooting that I do, anywhere that I can cut down on that exposure, I try to. And some people go, oh, you don't want to get your hands dirty. No, it's not about getting my hands dirty. I can wash my hands off. It's about all the exposure of those metals.
Especially with any type of cleaner, you're going to start to open the pores on your skin. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Then all those lead and contaminants get introduced, as well as the carcinogenics that are in most of the cleaners.
Yeah.
So that's once again, non-toxic. It's got no carcinogenics in it whatsoever. This is also a synthetic product. So most people use a petroleum-based product where we don't. So we're kind of on the other side. Very, very similar to a couple of the other guys out there. It's just we chose to do a fully synthetic and not a petroleum-based or a distillate. Really nice stuff, but once again, we're out of that really harsh chemical side. So it will take a little bit more, finesse or a few more tricks. And we'll go over those today. I'm sure we're going to find a couple dirty spots in this gun.
We definitely are. So for those of you who've been following, this is the Galil Ace pistol that we had in. Between the review, taken out to the everyday civilian shoot, and we had it all over, used it a boatload with a bunch of friends who were over for Independence Day, and then we ran the hell out of this in our last silencer review, and you can go back and check those previous videos. We've got probably in the neighborhood of at least 1,000 rounds unsuppressed and 1,000 rounds suppressed for this. Still haven't cleaned it yet, which is a testimony to this pistol and what IWI did with it, because there's been zero malfunctions in it as well. So I would expect
hasn't seen any type of cleaning or lubrication or anything. This is factory.
I lubricated it initially out of the box. I lubricated it, but it has never been cleaned.
Great.
And it hasn't been lubed in 2,000 rounds probably.
Awesome.
So, yeah. All right, well,
let's get to it, I guess,
all right?
right?
Let's get to it then. All right.
So the first thing we're going to use is our liquid Chimera cleaner. And we have a lot of fun with the naming of the products here at Vulture. A lot of people know us for our collar, a knife. And it's just it's a lot of fun. A lot of guys say, well, what's next? The botulism or Ebola. And it's really not that. It has to do with the entomology of the species. And that's how the knife and tool line gets its name. But as far as the liquid Chimera, because it's a hybrid, it's a fully synthetic hybrid cleaner. Chimera, of course, being a hybridized, entity, thought that'd be kind of fun. And of course, the liquid Freakiness is, people put it on their finger and they play with it for a second and they're like,
right.
Wow, that's really freaky. And then, they understand the name right away and there it is. So.
And yeah, you can just see the caked on.
Well, it's not too bad. I think I'd rub that all over my jelly donut in the morning.
Sure, why not? All right, so this guy actually breaks down pretty easily. I don't even know if I did a video on it. Basically, you pop the top cover kind of like an AK and take it off. It fits on here pretty snug, and the more you shoot it, if you don't have any lubrication in here or anything, it actually is kind of sticky to get this guy popped on and off on this one. Otherwise, this is as far down as you need to break it for cleaning, and it's really straightforward and easy to do. So I get started with right around here.
So we chose to go with just a very simple spray bottle application. So it's a robust tip. So when you stick it in your garden, your shooting bag and stuff like that. Plus the cleaner doesn't evaporate very quickly. So you've got enough working time where you don't really need a whole lot. I mean, you don't have to keep hosing this thing down. You've got plenty of time there to work with the liquid.
Grab one of these here. Let's send this through. Fortunately, I should have brought a shotgun brush or something along those lines, because this is actually a fatter area right here to get into.
Actually, more on the pad.
Actually, if you want, throw some on here. I think we can get this brush in here. You know what? This is the curved end. Here we go.
So the cleaner's been designed, on a mil-spec basis. So this is kind of like the new mil-spec protocol that the Army, Navy, Armed Forces, the Air Force, same thing that they're using as far as the basis behind the formulation and everything. So it's really safe. They kind of got a little tired of having some really noxious chemicals. Plus, we can ship it air and ground. It's got no VOCs, so we're good there too.
Oh, nice.
One thing I did want to point out is that we say on the label that you should probably be wearing some sort of eye protection, just in case you spritz the stuff in your eye. So we should probably be wearing eye protection, but do as we say, not as we do, right?
Exactly, and I am wearing my protective contact lenses here today.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. So that'll help keep your eyeball from melting. So both of these products are also available in a field cleaning kit, and we'll grab that on the way out. We wrap up today in that, but basically you get a 2-ounce bottle of the Liquid Freaky, 4 ounces of cleaner, and you get a field brush, 10 of these really cool black swabs, and a 12 by 12 red microfiber cloth in this resealable Mylar bag. Perfect for at the range, your range bag or anything like that, where you just need to, like you've got your bore snake. You just take your bore snake, throw it in the bag, a couple little items, personal items for cleaning, maybe a scraper or anything like that, or a couple little Allen keys or screwdrivers, whatever you need for your optic, and wham, there you go. You don't have to worry about carrying this big huge kit of everything.
Nice.
Keep it in your plane. I mean, the Air Force uses it for a lot of different reasons, degreasing. So it is a cleaner and a degreaser.
Okay. Actually looking at this and wondering how much of that's going to come off versus how much of that was finished that just rubbed off on the end here. It may just be finished.
Yeah, that's finished off. Work.
Yeah. All right.
That's smoke off from the coating.
Yeah. Normally think ahead and I'll bring paper towels. That's what I have at home. When I'm doing gross wipe down of the stuff, and especially since I'm not a fan of cleaning and I wait till they get really dirty usually before I clean them, I'll actually use paper towels initially just for the initial wipe down.
I'll go grab some.
And
we're right here. You know, you keep doing that. I'll grab
Sure.
some paper towels.
And one of the reasons why I kind of do that is because there's no point in wasting patches necessarily when you can use one big piece of paper towel, especially if you're dealing with something, an AK or Galil like this, where you get in there and you're just going to wipe it out. There's nothing wrong with doing that and then switching back to patches for some of your more precise work. So that's just one way you can kind of cut down on some of the cleaning costs, you know, in that regard.
So that's the bonus of being in the shop.
There you go.
You ask, you shall receive, man.
Nice. Thank you. So we've got a mixture of metals, a couple different finishes on here, as well as polymers. And you were saying that, you know, because this is non-corrosive, you can get it obviously on all the different polymers. Yep. And
Definitely.
how about different wood finishes?
No problem.
Okay.
I wouldn't leave it on there for very long, but you know, to wipe it down, you know, and throw a little bit of liquid Freakiness on a rag or whatever, wipe everything down to make sure there's no residue. Definitely. Wood is one of those things that you don't really want to leave anything on because you know the
varnish.
The varnish, exactly. It's not going to stand up too much.
Okay, but it's not one of those things where if a little bit gets on there,
No.
you have to freak out like some, you know, like if you were using brake cleaner or something.
Yeah, brake cleaner is really gonna kind of do a number on your wood stock pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about it for, you know, fishing reels, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other cool thing is that this is, as you can tell, there's no smell to this.
Yeah.
So you're not filling up the room with a lot of stinky chemicals. You really don't have to worry about that noxious aroma and flashovers and things like that because it's really not that volatile. And as far as the liquid Freakiness goes, this is also really cool, especially for hunting, because it's got no smell. So you want to put a drop or two,
Scare away
you know,
potential game.
exactly on your, you know, on your bearings and your bow. You know, put it on the bolt of your gun. You know, use a little bit of some other cleaners or oils. You're going to be up in that deer stand. That smell is going to waft, and you know, there's a lot of different game that's going to smell that, and they're going to be like, you know what? I want no part of whatever's over there. That smells weird. I'm not going by. And then guys sit there and they're like, man, I didn't see a single thing this season. I'm like, well, okay, man.
How much Old Spice did you put on this morning?
Exactly. So I was actually talking to them about that with one of my buddies, and I was taught when I was young, big game hunting, and one of the first things you do with elk is you find the closest wallow that you possibly can that's still a little fresh, and you get that mud and you stick all that urine and mud all over you, and that really masks a lot of your scent, and you're allowed to move a little bit more freely in the woods because then they don't catch it. They're like, oh, okay. Or you could actually draw other elk in. So if you go over, you know, like one range or two ranges away, get all loaded up with that, and then come back into like a different bull's territory, you'll enrage him. He'll be like, what? How dare you come over here? These are my babes. So, and it's eco-friendly. So for duck hunters and fishing reels and things like that, fly fishing, you don't have to worry about getting this in the water supply. Unlike most of the other extreme temperature lubes, this doesn't have any like don't get it in the water supply. And especially the cleaners and degreasers nowadays, they might say that they're, you know, non-toxic, but when you clearly read the MSDS sheet, it says do not get this in the water supply whatsoever. Most people's cleaners, because they're petroleum based, they say if you ingest them, you're going to get your, you know, possibility of death. Ours says you're going to have a bad night on the toilet. That's about it. So that's the other bonus about going fully synthetic. Took us a little bit of time, but you know what? It's just like our knives and a couple of the other products. It took a little bit of time to make sure everything is good and you know, work through. There's no sense of rushing a bad product. You know, it's just not for our size company. I mean, we're a small shop, and our reputation is our life. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's occasionally you'll see a company will rush something to either get, you know, to NRA or SHOT Show to get out, and you know, I understand the rush and wanting to get out there.
Yeah, you gotta miss a deadline. You know,
at the same time, if it's not right and you ruin yourself out of the gate, how do you especially as a fresh company, how do you make up for that?
Yeah,
and that reputation will stick with you for quite a while.
So what I'm going to do here is on your bolt face, I'm just going to throw a little bit on here and we're going to let it sit for just a second.
Okay.
Okay, before we start doing some wiping, just to make sure that we get any of that buildup. You know, because we're non-toxic, so we've got to really take a few extra seconds to let that soak, maybe.
Let it soak in.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's a lot of people think that, you know, oh, you put it on, wipe it off, and it magically removes everything. But when you start removing all the nastiness and the chemical base, you really kind of have to put a little more elbow grease to it. But
exactly.
you know, it's a trade-off. You want a tuna with good taste or a tuna that tastes great.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we're going to have a call about that later. What did you mean by that? Can't have both. Can't have your cake and eat it too. So we were at Blade Show and we released the liquid Freakiness, and got picked up by a couple manufacturers right away, and another young gentleman who's got a new knife company, and they were like totally amazed. They put it on some of their autos, and it was just like, you know, it's like they put one drop in there. I'm like, oh, just put one drop, man. That's all it needs. You sure? I don't need it. I said, no, it'll work. Chwong! Comes flying out of their hands, and the guys from Chi-Town Tactical just sent me a knife, and while it's not one of ours, it is a nice knife. It's made by ProTech, and we threw one drop of liquid Freakiness in there and moved it around, and you can see this thing. It wants to jump out of your hand, and you can barely see it open. It's so fast. So we do have a grease coming too. We just haven't finished our last little bit of formulation on it, so it's going to be more of like a competition, or let's call it a subterranean grease, if you will.
Okay.
If you know where that goes. A little bit harsher environment, you know, not a liquid base, because there's guys that like liquid, and there's other guys that like, you know, they swear by grease. So a little bit different attributes on the grease, but still very high temperature, and you know, resilience and friction coefficient is like off the chart.
All right. Come right past. Did you already clean that?
Yep. I scrubbed it down.
Scrub down.
Yep.
Number 5 stands for Johnny Number 5.
Sure.
Sure.
Angle on the deflector shield, Batman.
Exactly. Let's see. Yeah, this.
Also, we got another piece of big gunky up in here. While you're doing that, you want me to scrape that? Or?
Sure, if you want.
Yeah, hose that out?
Yeah.
I think this is the first time I've really spent any time cleaning a gun lately. I haven't had time.
Staying too busy.
Yeah. We just went out and did a bunch of testing on the liquid Freakiness with a firearms manufacturer, and they were really, really impressed. And believe it or not, it doesn't collect a lot of you know, a lot of the carbon buildup and things like that. So it was really nice. They had a blast with it. No pun intended, I think, right?
There you go.
I can't believe I just said that, but oh well. So,
All right.
You have another of these?
Look underneath here and see. Oh, yeah.
well, I don't think it's going to pass Arlie Ermey's, you know, what did you do, scumbag? You know, you call that a clean job, but definitely, you know, you can see the stuff does cut it away. And you had, what, 2,000 rounds through this thing?
About 2,000, yeah.
Wow. And on top of it, what, 1,000 of that was suppressed?
1,000 was suppressed, yeah. And there was a good mixture, probably about 50-50 mixture in there, brass and steel cased.
Okay.
As well. So, and that wolf, especially in this, tends to run fairly
Icky?
dirtier, especially in a shorter barrel. You know, what doesn't burn off all the powder anyway.
Right.
But in that shorter barrel, it just, yeah. And, you know, for me, when it comes to cleaning, I never try and get anything spick and span. I like to knock down all the crap. I want to make sure that if the modern powder, there's nothing corrosive in it in and of itself. But
you're pretty safe.
I'm looking at knocking down anything that's there, getting it cleaned up, lubricated as it should be, not over or
Yeah,
under.
you definitely, especially with our stuff, you don't need much more than a drop or two here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Spread it around like you're doing with a cloth or a Q-tip to get down in the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have asked for a precision oiler. So what we're going to do is actually include, for a limited, for like maybe the first run or whatever, we're going to put in another 1/2 ounce bottle of this, and it's going to have the little plastic tip. I don't believe in the metal tips. They break constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in your bag, and you bump them once or twice, and you go to bend it back, and then you got oil all over the inside of your bag, and you know what? It makes it for a not fun day. Most of the time, if guys say, well, I need a precision, I said, take a Q-tip, open the bottle, or a toothpick,
Mm-hmm.
dip it in there, and you've got a micro dot, and just
on
tick.
there.
Yeah, and that's all you really need to do.
And then, of course, depending on how you're going to use it, how often you're going to use it, another thing to consider is, are you making sure you're getting all of it oiled if you're going to sit it in the safe, let's say, and you're not going to touch it for another
Exactly.
2 years. I don't recall if you mentioned it yet or not, but I recall you saying it's got anti-corrosion rust inhibitors in it.
Yeah, definitely. So unlike some of the other guys, I kind of wanted something that's a little bit more robust. So we put an anti-corrosion and a rust inhibitor in the carrier as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice. It also has a very low evaporation point. So if you stick it on your gun, and as long as you've got a nice, like you've got here, and just smooth that out real quick, you put that there, that's going to stay there for years.
Okay,
It's
so-
really not going to go anywhere.
So one of the biggest things over the years that I actually really liked back in the day that evaporated like crazy was REM oil.
Mhm.
And REM oil is great. It's almost like a WD-40 almost. It does good penetrating and stuff like that, but it evaporates crazy quick.
Yep.
You stick the gun in your trunk of your car, let's say, for example. As a SWAT officer riding around, you got a gun in the trunk of your car, you put REM oil on it, a week later it's completely gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
That heat especially, just gone.
The other interesting thing about REM oil is it was the first one to fail in our oil tests. So when we were speccing oils in the beginning on our knives, it's the first one to fail. WD-40 outperformed it, and it was really kind of a shocker to me because I've used it for years and never really gave it a second thought.
Which test was that?
We did a corrosion test in-house with saline solution. So we created a brine solution. We didn't just dump, a bunch of table salt in the water. We actually went and got active brine solution, much like a fish tank, right?
Okay,
Same
yeah.
stuff. And that's what we did. And we took various washers and pieces of steel and coated them with oil and dropped them inside and monitored them, every day for weeks. Yeah, I think you got a winner there. Did you feel that?
Yeah, nice and smooth. All right. Now the problem with our patch situation. See if we can find one that's small enough to actually. Nah, give us a sec. All right, there we go.
The neat part about it is, it doesn't smoke off to over 500 degrees. So, as you're, I just saw Tim's video on the 320, the torture test, and that 320, and that barrel was like, over 300 degrees.
Oh, I'm sure.
The trigger was 200 degrees itself, and he had a hard time touching, the trigger even with his gloves. He's like, I can't do it anymore. I can't imagine 13 minutes and 1,000 rounds.
Your finger's gonna get tired.
Your finger's gonna get tired. The heat in that thing is gonna be absolutely ungodful,
Drop a 2 in there. So for things like recoil springs, I generally don't worry too much about putting a boatload of oil on it. I'll put a couple spots all the way down the line. And then when you rack it a few times, that motion is gonna, not just how it'll crawl, but it's gonna slingshot itself back and forth and work itself all the way through there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, looks good. Let's get it put back together.
What's that rubber thing?
I assume, and I didn't, I haven't actually confirmed it, but I would assume it's like a gas sealant.
Okay.
To keep gases from blowing back out the back of the cover.
Oh, that'd be nice, right?
Yeah. And I would say after shooting this suppressed, it shoots suppressed very well.
Cool.
Not as much blowback as even from a traditional AR pistol. So it's they've done pretty well on it. I was really concerned about the side. You've got this plate that covers up.
Yeah.
When it cycles, it pops down, and I was really concerned about how that would interact with the thing, and it's actually done pretty well. All right. All right, looks like we actually need to put a little bit more on our bolt carrier there, but
yeah. Just throw a dot right there, like this. And we'll throw one right up in here, like that. And that's kind of why we put the little baggie of swabs with it. So if you can do that, you can take everything apart and just put a light coating on everything, stick it back in the little baggie, and you're all set.
Go ahead.
I don't know, man. It's pretty nice. Once we get a lot of that, you know, that excess off of there and worked it in, you know, it's a great piece, man. I can't wait to go shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't wait to go shoot it.
You know, try it. All right, well, cool.
Excellent.
I'm basically gonna run this the same way we have. I'm gonna see how long I can get away without cleaning this guy again, and leave it on here like this, and see how she does. If you want to check out those other videos, feel free. I'll leave them in the description down below, and click back and see this guy in action, both the initial review and some of the suppressor work we've done with it. And I'll leave some information down below to Vulture Works as well.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for having us out. I appreciate it.
We had a great time, and yeah, if you guys have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at vultureequipmentworks.com. Email address is info@vultureequipmentworks.com. You can follow us on social media. So we've got, you know, Twitter. We don't really use all that much of, but we're definitely on Instagram a lot and Facebook. And feel free to hit us up with any questions or comments. And yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun. Yeah. We've run it through its paces. It's some good stuff.
Cool.
You'll have fun.
All right. Thanks.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Stay safe. We'll talk soon.
See ya.